nothing can save ya, cause this is the season of funky behavior. I came to relax your mind, you can recline. On what? On this here rhyme. I like the style, I'm staying for a while. It helps me show cats that I'm versatile. I'll touch your dial, turn your frown to a smile. I'll make you feel like you're having a child. So relax and open up, child. I'm about to make you walk what? Pimp style or pimped out style. You don't understand the logic. See, if you don't have it all, I'll take a deposit. I got shit for you, it's alright indeed. It's like going to the garden and planting the seed. It might tickle for a second, but it won't bleed. So just relax, just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Your entertainment at the same time, edutainment. In other words, you could call it bent. What I'm saying is that I'm here at your service. It's hard work, but then again, I deserve this. I'm helping people enjoy their spare time. I'm like an instructor when I'm doing my rhyme. Relax and just hear the dope track. It's really not all that, it's not like a gag. We like that when everything is relaxed and chill. You don't have to get fucked up or take pills, cause I like being myself, it feels good. Yo, it makes my meals taste good. 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 So just relax. It's your dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real bad. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real bad. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax. My mind state, now balloon, it won't inflate. Just take the buzz, this much wiser kid, fuck the shade. And take it to a lower level, and dig a ditch for the devil. Got some more kids and pass the shovel. Dig a hole, take them on a spiritual roll. Lyrics unfold, either that or unroll the scroll. Episodes keep reoccurring and stifling. People's vision get blurring, their hearts start murmuring. I'm about 5 times iller than a Sherman. Introspection is God's gift to the miracle. I freak material, lamb's milk without the cereal. When MCs say your booty, they mean venereal. Your fake material hip-hop killers, they more faking than fucking Michael Jackson and Thriller. The status of a hoe, Quanto Costa. They wanna know how much it costs, kid, I bet for keep tell so me just relax, just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax.
Go, y'all. It's December 25th, and it's another day, another dollar. You know, hopefully everybody's doing well. I'm sure a lot of my listeners are doing well because at least you chimed in, so you're gonna get some good reaction news today. This is Christmas Day. This is the day people, Christians, some Christians call Christmas, not all Christians, but some Christians call Christmas. A lot of people in the Western world have this tradition of Santa Clauses and reindeer and, giving gifts and this type of, you know what it is. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, this kind of thing. Ho, ho, ho to everybody else out there. You know what I'm saying? But this holiday is celebrated across the world, surprisingly enough, in different countries, so Merry Christmas to those of you that celebrate Christmas. I know it's early. Right now it's 8:40 morning time, Central European time, right? That would be AM, and that would make it 2:41 Eastern Standard Time, USA. That would make it 11:41 Pacific time, right? USA, and same goes for the Americas and Africa. I guess East Africa would be about an hour earlier than that. Would be 9:41, right? For those of you chiming in from East Africa, good morning, and everybody else, good afternoon. In Asia, it's later, it's closer to lunchtime, and so I'm glad to have you all here today. Now, it gets no better for Trump. It gets no better for Trump. And not that anybody would expect it to. I mean, why would anyone expect things to get better for Trump at this moment? Because how things getting better is supposed to mean good stories, good realities to review, good things to talk about. You know what I'm saying? In relationship to a certain individual. But with Trump, it's all downhill, man. It's all bad. It's horrible. And let me tell you, they don't want you to know that this man is out of here. He's out of here already. He's been the Manchurian candidate experiment and experience, because you've been on that experience. I don't know how many of you seen the Manchurian Candidate or read the book, The Manchurian Candidate. Then Denzel Washington was in the movie, The Manchurian Candidate. And of course, the book and the movie are not the same, obviously, but the premise is the same. You get a person who is just in the brain, not there, right? And you slip them in. A foreign government can do it. And some insider political party could do it. You can change that story around and mix it up however you want. But the main premise is that you have a stooge out there in front, and that stooge is controlled by other people, other players, right? And that people know about it. That's what the Manchurian Candidate is. And that's what I've often seen Trump as. I've mentioned that before, because look, the guy has no experience, right? He was in debt, bankrupt. I mean, just look at the man's resume, bankrupt. I mean, just think about this. If you wanted to control somebody, you want to control somebody that has access, but is weak on the knees. And having 6 bankruptcy is not a sign of strength. Let me tell you, New York is a shady ass city. For some of you that don't know and never been there before or don't know the history, but it's nothing new to New Yorkers, because New Yorkers, this is the history of New York, shadiness. You know what I'm saying? Like, God damn. I mean, and Trump comes out of that background. This is, you talking about, gangs in New York, the foundings of America, the East Coast, crime, corruption. I mean, I'm not trying to diss the East Coast in that way. I'm from the East Coast, mind you, but I'm just saying, the reality check. This country has gone through trials and tribulations that are real. And if you want to get into the history of the peoples, let's do that and let's be real about it, because it is a beautiful thing now. You know what I'm saying? To know the country you come from and to know the culture of the people you come from. That's a beautiful thing, right? Especially if you're going to be out there speaking and relating to other folks, making decisions or having communications with others. But in any case, Manchurian Candidate, NYC, that's what I call Trump, a Frankenstein experiment. And you see it for what it is. You may not be able to pinpoint exactly all the things that it is, but that's what's happening now with the release of these Epstein files. And listen, I'm going to ask this question. If I was to get your vote, to ask you to vote for me, wouldn't you want to know certain kind of things? You know what I'm saying? First, I mean, isn't that just normal? Wouldn't that be normal to want to know, like, per se, if the last people I worked with and entrusted my businesses died on a helicopter? Wouldn't you want to know that? Wouldn't you? I mean, wouldn't you? If it was three of my CEOs that all died on a helicopter, one helicopter crash, 3 of them from each one of my goddamn casinos, wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't you want to know if I just happened to call them and say, hey, meet me at the helicopter? And then just before they got on the helicopter, I called them and say, no, meet me at the location. I'm already on my way. Just get on the helicopter. And then they get on the helicopter and they just crash and die. Wouldn't you want to know that if you was about to go into business with me? Wouldn't you want to know these kind of things? Wouldn't you want to know about Mar-a-Lago, how I hang out, who I hang out with, who my best buddies were? If you were like putting, really chiming in on this, betting on me, telling other people to vote for me, wouldn't you want to know what type of person I am? That you were not allowed to know. People that voted for Donald Trump were not allowed to know. And why were they not allowed to know? Because media, New York Post, for example, New York, and other media outlets, other powerful people didn't want you to know Donald Trump's real resume, his real shit people say about it. I mean, come on. Why is it that the average person can walk around and have somebody, this he say, she say game? Did you hear that? Blah, 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 did this and that and do. Oh, did you know that? That's regular shit people have to deal with every day of their life. Now, Donald Trump, he had it all shut down and he wanted to be the president and was twice. So the American people really didn't, in the world, you really didn't get to know. You weren't allowed to know who Trump is. But now, you're allowed to know, and it is horrendous. It is nothing but foul. I mean, are mafia bosses this goddamn foul? Yeah, basically. Yeah. No question at all. I mean, you are watching a mafia movie when you're watching the Trump White House. That's basically what it is. I mean, what other story do you have where you think like, you know what? I don't know. But I have a strange suspicion somebody died behind some of this shit. I mean, don't people die behind some of this shit every day? That's literally what I said a few months ago on this podcast. And lo and behold, those are allegations that people died over this shit with Epstein. Like, seriously. And it ain't just one. Think about it. Now they're hearing about the possibility of a young girl who claims that she was assaulted by Epstein and Trump that was murdered. But you already knew about Epstein. You already knew something funny wasn't right with Epstein. That got out. I mean, who knows what's up with that? But now in writing, you have the FBI talking amongst themselves about a supposed murder surrounding Epstein and Trump. Yes, sex trafficking, murder, right? And it doesn't stop there. It gets even worse. And so it's just so sad. Do me a favor, click the like button before we get started. Subscribe if you've never been to my channel. I appreciate you coming out. Click the bell because it helps you get the notifications when I do go live, because it's not always. This is the scheduled normal 8 o'clock, Central European time podcast, but sometimes I do impromptu, so it might change from time to time. But let's go on. I mean, let's go on. In any case, let me bring up and see what we got here, because
the Justice Department has now released.
There's only one way. There's only one way to start the bullshit, and that's just to let people say it on legacy media. By the way, I really would like to know the difference between a person that still believes in Trump's bullshit, a person that can't figure out a real conspiracy from a fake one, versus a person who really, is just out there trolling. Because there are people still at this point who seriously still believe in this man. Like, still believe any other kind of alternative theory. Not the theory that is presented widely. And they see it for themselves. I mean, I don't get it. Character, being who you would surround yourself around, with, says a lot about your own character, in case you don't know that. So I'm just saying, a lot of you out there that haven't figured out Trump's sicko crazy shit, I have to wonder a little bit about you at this point, what that is about. But in any case, let's let this play.
Big new batch of documents in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, and these include new details about Epstein's one-time friendship with President Trump. Look, there is a lot to go through. We said it's like more than 10,000 pages, so we are digging through this. But this is what is seen so far. And
10,000 pages is nothing. It's about it is about to be a monsoon all over the reality of the real Donald Trump that you were not allowed to know, because you are a small fry in this scenario. You're not important, not that important to have known all this shit the FBI was sitting on this whole goddamn time. And it is a goddamn earthquake of information. It is a bombshell. It's a nuclear bombshell. This shit is like, this is And hold on, let me just say this. To everyone else that has been a victim of Donald J. Trump, whether you've been a part of the, a victim as a child and a sex slave, molested, abused by him in that way, or whether your country has just been under attack by this lunatic, there is justice coming for you. I'm just telling you that. Thank the gods. There is justice coming for you, because this man has been all over earth trying to find people's lives to destroy. Like straight up anybody to fuck over. Can I make your life harder? Can I get a buck off of making your life harder? Can I just, how can I meddle in your fucking life? Like, this man has caused loads of problems for a whole lot of fucking people. So thank the gods the information is coming out. Let's hear it now.
20 email, an assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York wrote that Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet, quote, more times than previously has been reported, at least 8 times between 1993 and 96. And on a flight in 1993, according to the email, there was just 3 passengers, Trump, Epstein, and what's described as a 20-year-old woman. Being mentioned in a trove of investigatory documents does not demonstrate criminal wrongdoing, a reminder. And
I love how they tell you that. Also, I want to let you know, hey, man, if you just happen to come across some stories, some allegations of me chopping off a bunch of people's heads and throwing them in a lake, it's just rumors. There's no evidence that it's true.
Trump has not been accused of being involved in Epstein's crimes.
No.
On Monday, the president did seem dismayed that the release of any and all of these files, though, could harm the reputations of individuals he said, quote, innocently met Epstein. Now, remember, he is the man they also signed into law last month, the measure requiring the Justice Department to do just this, release the files.
A lot of people are very angry that pictures are being released of other people that really had nothing to do with Epstein, but they're in a picture with a big...
This is Trump capping. This is Trump saying, he doesn't understand why his buddies and friends have to be outed over this Epstein thing. He doesn't understand why the people that was hanging around Epstein need to be known to the public and what their relationship to him was and what he was doing with them. He doesn't understand why that is. You know what I'm saying? Trump still doesn't understand. You know what I mean? Yeah. I wonder why that is. I wonder why. Could he be talking about co-conspirators? Could he be talking about co-conspirators? And a lot of you maggots out there, he's talking about co-conspirators. So really what that means is that you're covering up for a pedophile sex trafficking ring. That makes you disgusting as fuck at this point. That makes you a lowlife in 2026. You're going into the new year being the most pettiest piece of scum on earth. Like, no country should harbor people like you. 0. You are the problem with Earth right now. Okay? Like, seriously.
Because he was at a party and you ruin the reputation of somebody.
As we speak, CNN has a team working through the documents just released. We are going to bring you the findings as they come in. CNN's Caitlin Polans is live in Washington this morning. A lot to work through, and we're just getting started. Caitlin, what do you have so far?
We're just getting started, but the headline here is quite clear. Donald Trump is all over these documents.
South Africa,
in that
what's up?
first trove that the Justice Department released on Friday, there were just a few very scant mentions of Trump, including in a picture.
Somebody said, you the problem, dude. You the problem, dude. You spreading this. You the problem. Oh, really? Well, give me your motherfucking $1 billion, bitch, right now. Give it to me and shut the fuck up, okay? Since you accept Donald Trump doing this shit to any fucking body. How about I just come and negotiate a war in your fucking country and fuck that all up? How about I do that since you like Donald Trump?
Collected with a bunch of other pictures. In this one, there is already one very illuminating email that was sent during the first presidency of Donald Trump while prosecutors in the Southern District of New York were working on the case against Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. This is after Epstein's death. And one of those prosecutors writes, I'm going to read from this letter because it is what was new to the prosecutors at the time and what is new to us now receiving these documents now in the public sphere from the Justice Department. The prosecutor, unnamed, an assistant U.S. attorney of the Southern District of New York, wrote on January 8th of 2020, the flight records we received yesterday reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously has been reported or that we were aware. That's the Justice Department.
Yeah, so they've been aware the whole time that what the media has been saying about Trump being on Epstein's plane was not the truth, that it was far worse than that for Trump himself specifically. They knew that since the first Trump administration. The outgoing Trump administration, their FBI had communicated about loads of information that had not been put out to the public regarding Donald Trump and possible crimes. That's a decade. Let alone the years before that led up to that. You see what I mean? So, and the shit that is coming out, somebody said that Trump witnessed one of the rape victims, one of the sex traffic victims, have to dispose of her baby in a lake in front of Donald Trump, like seriously, on a luxury yacht. That's what is being reported. That's one of the things these people had talked about.
2020, including during the period we would expect to charge in a Maxwell case. On one flight in 1993, Donald Trump and Epstein are the only two passengers listed. On another, the only three passengers are Epstein, Trump, and a then 20-year-old. On two,
and it amazes me how someone could be like, but Trump never been on the island. You don't listen to the news, do you much? No, you don't. You don't. Not that anyone ever said the crime location was one place. Nobody ever said that. They said the crime location was many, many places that Epstein had. And they didn't just say only places that Epstein had. So if you were thinking that, you made that up in your own head. That's fabricated by your own brain. That's you wanting to hear that or wanting to believe it.
Other flights, two of the passengers respectively were women who would be possible witnesses in a Maxwell case. And then the assistant U.S. attorney concludes this email by telling his or her supervisors or superiors in the Justice Department didn't want any of this to be a surprise down the road. That's a direct quote. Now,
that's Trump's own administration, his last one in 2020. Right. And I believe that was early 2020 or maybe 2019. Right. Saying they didn't want it to be a surprise. They wanted you to be aware of it. His own FBI officials are discussing these matters back then.
Donald Trump, he has not commented yet on this particular revelation in the Epstein files coming out overnight. And this.
Oh, wake up, mate. Exactly. Yo, there was crimes all over, man. I don't understand. A lot of people don't follow the news about this, man. There was maybe something like 8 different locations across the country, and not including just Epstein Island, what they call Epstein Island. And for some reason, people don't get that. And this man had camera in multiple locations, like camera set ups, just like the one you see in his home in New York or in Epstein Island. He had camera setups in multiple places, more than 3 places. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah.
This morning that we are now.
And he had safes. He had safes in more than one location, obviously.
Surfacing for you here. But Donald Trump has downplayed his relationship with Epstein in the past. And of course, this is something that is documenting his connection to Epstein traveling on that private plane in the 90s. So many years ago. You know,
someone's saying Trump was helping the FBI. Well, why don't they release those documents that prove he was helping the FBI? Where's his name saying Trump came in? This is the witness. They don't have to blotch out his name. Why don't they just keep his name out there and show everybody? See, Trump was helping the FBI. Wonder why they won't do that. That would certainly clear his name, wouldn't it? That would settle all of this, wouldn't it? But they ain't going to do it, are they? No, you haven't seen it yet, have you? No, for some reason, this FBI doesn't know of that, because if they could provide it, it would surely help Trump right about now, right? Yeah.
Kate, but Trump even yesterday was saying that everyone was friendly with Epstein. He was all over Palm Beach. And Ghislaine Maxwell, this past year, has said in an interview with the Justice Department talking about Trump that she never saw him do anything that wasn't gentlemanly, that was...
Oh, well, that's out the window right now, because it's people that have said for sure that Trump did things to them. And that is in the FBI's possession. Yes.
Any sort of impropriety at all. That said, this is a document that shows the possibility of Donald Trump having an intersection with Ghislaine Maxwell and the criminal case against her in which she was convicted for sex trafficking of minors. Clearly, this did not come out in the trial, but it is a pretty revelatory document. And Kate, it's just one page right now. This is the one page that I've walked you through. There are many, many more documents that we are piecing through this morning to see what else
happy holidays, everybody. Happy holidays indeed. Thanks for that, Flipped.
But Donald Trump is in the latest batch of the Epstein files.
Yeah. Much more to come, as Caitlin's laying out very clearly. Caitlin, thank you so much for jumping on. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
Sarah.
Yo, everybody click the like button if you haven't clicked the like button yet. Yo, and subscribe if you're not subscribed.
All right, joining me now is Sarah Kristoff, a former U.S. prosecutor for this.
Yo, it gets worse. Like, it gets worse. We're just getting started. I got like about an hour and a half more to go. So we're just getting started. There's a lot of information to cover. Obviously, we're not going to cover it all, but there is some really horrific shit that's about to come up. I just wanted to follow, try to catch up with legacy media in the last 24 hours. Some of the stuff I didn't get a chance to hear, but obviously I might be aware of some of the things, because multiple networks report the similar new breaking news. But we're about to get into it here. Let's just give it a few more seconds.
Southern District of New York, thank you for being here. Look, the DOJ has said they are releasing these documents more slowly because they are concerned about exposing victims. But in some of the emails that were released Monday afternoon, by Monday evening, some of those documents were taken down. We now know a victim's name who wished to remain anonymous was not redacted. We also know President Trump's name, as you heard there from Caitlin, appears in several places in the latest dump. This is the second time they've released documents only to remove them again. From what you have seen so far, is this just sloppy work from the DOJ, or do you see this as being more calculated?
So it is a hard job to redact these documents appropriately. The law set forth sort of categories of material that could be redacted. The DOJ has to go through these very carefully, make calls about, really page by page about what needs to be redacted or not. But they have all of the resources in the world.
All right, so I'm going to fast forward because I don't want to hear any excuses. Obviously there's going to be plenty of reasons why, they didn't have enough manpower and, they just couldn't coordinate things correctly, or it's just a tough job. By the way, all things nobody gives a fuck about when you're at work. I mean, if you work for Trump, he wouldn't want to hear any of these excuses. We're understaffed right now, Mr. Trump. We don't have enough resources, Mr. Trump. He would fire your ass. He has a whole show where he's cruelly firing people. That's his actual image and shit. So he wouldn't even take the bullshit that the FBI was giving out to him right now if it was in his own personal business. But so that tells you he's grifting. He doesn't even care if they do a good job for the American people. If they were doing a job specifically for him, though, they fire his ass. And they do. He does frequently. If they don't do exactly what he says, they get fucking fired, except it has nothing to do with what's in the American people's interest. Like, nothing to do with anybody else's interest except his own, Putin's, maybe Putin, maybe, Netanyahu, maybe, you know what I mean? But definitely not regular, average, everyday folk that are part of NATO, a part of the U.S., part of, democracy, voting, none of that shit. Nobody who pays taxes. No. He doesn't do much for those folk.
Jess Michaels is the lead writer of a new statement from Epstein survivors. The statement raises multiple concerns about the way the release of files has been handled. She explained to CNN that no one from the Justice Department reached out to survivors for their input.
To me, what we're seeing is just an incredibly sloppy and inconsistent and thoughtless process that has been done to try to redact names or leaving things haphazardly unredacted. I felt very strongly that this was a clear-cut, black and white moment. Friday, December 19th at 11:59, if all of the files had not been released publicly, this DOJ had broken the law that took an act of Congress to pass and that the president signed. And to me, that is a point we need to keep talking about. We want to see financial records. We want to see all of the long list of indictments for Jeffrey Epstein back in that sweetheart deal, the Alex Acosta deal. We want to see all of that paperwork because it proves the negligence that we've been talking about all along.
I mean, just remember the people that's out there that are still trying to put the pieces together, reluctantly putting the pieces together, like meaning they don't want to see the signs written on the wall. The people that would listen to one of these victims like this right here, say what they want, explain to the public openly what they went through, go to the police several different times. Listen, there's people that went to the police and you're about to hear, and the fucking FBI, this FBI didn't want to have nothing to do with it. Like straight up, like seriously, that's the problem. There were people who already gave statements to police in interviews that you were not allowed to know. And this FBI has not made a judgment on. Like people, seriously have not actually wanted to do anything about. That is strange. We talking about for a long period of time. So I really just wonder, what type of person doesn't get it? What do you want? What do you want? I mean, do you want fairness in this world? Really, if you can't see that something has happened very badly that includes Donald Trump and he ain't no victim, if you can't see that he's a participator, if you can't see that at this point, and if you can't see that there's been crimes involved here, if you can't see that, something is wrong with you personally. Something is really wrong with you. And anybody else out there, keep people like that away from your shit, your life, your shit, your business, your company, your organization, you know what I'm saying? Your school, your institution, like straight up. Do not hire nobody that can't see the simpleness of this. This is crazy, but in any case, let's just go on.
Thousands of new pages past the deadline. We've covered the illegal cover-up since most documents have not been met by the deadline. But what we have now are new emails, investigator notes, new witness accounts, as well as material that goes well beyond some of what was in the DOJ's first release. Before we get into any of the context and the wider legal ramifications, let me tell you highlights of what are in these files. New flight records, newly revealed prosecutor notes, documentation of Donald Trump traveling with Epstein to a degree that even the people inside the DOJ at the time, people with knowledge of the case, found to be a, quote, surprise. More jet travel with Epstein than they knew at the time.
Hey, Harley, I see you. What's up, Harley?
A subpoena that was sent to Mar-a-Lago during the Maxwell probe. It was seeking records. That itself is not completely
Supreme, exactly.
incriminating for Mar-a-Lago, but it's new, and you could see why they wanted to hide it. Here's the Washington Post headline on what is now another day of Epstein file dumps. Quote, second batch of Epstein files with many mentions of Trump. Here's a conservative paper, The Examiner, that says some of the new files include Trump's name, which is putting it mildly, or Mediaite, which is read widely in East Coast media circles, the 5 most shocking Trump mentions in the latest batch of Epstein docs. This is shaking up D.C.
Nah, this shaking up the goddamn world, man. The world is watching this shit, yo. We over here in Copenhagen, Denmark. On Christmas Day, everybody's watching this shit unveil on Trump's ass, and they're like, yeah, okay, you want a Greenland, motherfucker? Well, look at here. Look at you. Look at you. Just look at you, Mr. Strong Man. Look at you. You can't even keep your fucking pants up from little girls, you stinky, stank, nasty bastard. Yes, exactly. Denmark has had more than one female prime minister. Now, I'm not saying that inherently one gender is more intelligent or more capable than the other. I'm not saying that. I'm saying women's rights, suffrage has been real. The women's suffrage movement has been real on Earth. And what I'm saying is that Denmark has had more than one female prime minister. The U.S. hasn't had one. And let me tell you, any country where you have a woman who's a prime minister, she looking at your ass, Trump, like, God damn, stay away from this man. Like, they see you as scum. And they would be exactly right to see you as scum because, goddamn, they've had to face motherfuckers like Trump their whole life, too. And guess what? Somebody probably didn't even believe it. It was probably hard to get someone to believe them, too. And looky here. Look at the bully show up again. Look at the pedophile show up at the door again. I mean, come on. I'm just saying.
Overnight, under pressure, the Department of Justice releasing thousands more Jeffrey Epstein files, the most substantial dump of documents so far.
Tips about President Trump's degree of involvement with Jeffrey Epstein.
Then this email mentioning President Trump from a federal prosecutor.
On a flight that Trump and Epstein were on? A flight that Trump and Epstein were on?
Would Copenhagen. Det er rigtigt nok.
Be two possible witnesses in a Maxwell case?
In a Maxwell criminal case. This group includes an awful lot of references to Trump in the paperwork.
Reporters, other people interested, obviously the members of Congress who demanded this by law have been going through this. At MS Now, we had people burning the midnight oil, even though it is, of course, a holiday week, as they went through these files, trying to...
Trump is really going down even, and is it Evan? Yeah, and we going to watch it. We going to watch his ass. Just like he watched California burn and sit back and enjoy it. Just like he watched southern countries get flooded and just enjoyed it. Just like he watched September goddamn 6th. I mean, it's January 6th. I'm sorry. Goddamn. I confused that with 9/11 though. I'm sorry. But it was a 9/11 moment. So just like January 6th, he sat back for hours and watched police be trampled on, beaten up side the head, motherfucking, just really tortured. You know what I'm saying? Watch people sit there and say, we're going to kill you, Nancy Pelosi. We're going to hang you, Mike Pence. Just like he sat back for hours and watched that, we're going to watch this motherfucker's demise. People hate this man. This man is laughed at globally, and people hate him. You know, the globe may be laughing, but let me tell you, Americans hate this fucking man, and people in the Western world hate this fucking man. Let's just keep it real. People hate this man. This man is done. He is finished. You don't do what he did to your own fucking people that pay you tax money every goddamn day. You don't do what Trump did. Trump is considered a fucking traitor. Like straight up, in the most purest sense of the word. Like seriously, compromised also. But in any case, just to put it out there, I'm not saying you should do any particular thing about it. I mean, people are the elections are going to catch up with his ass. The law is going to catch up with his ass. But until then, protect yourself, because you can see this lunatic is going to go down in a blaze, and we're going to watch it and report on it. And I'm going to say thank God when he's finished. I'm going to say thank you, gods. Thank you, all of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all of you. What's your names out there? How many? The gods since the beginning of the time. I'm going to thank all of them and shit. The female ones, the male ones. I'm going to thank the God of the river, the God of the sky. What the fuck?
To verify, trying to make sense of it. Again, we're going to go through these new documents that include that subpoena I mentioned. It was in 2021. Pretty recent that it was sent to Mar-a-Lago and was part of.
Thank you, Hermes and shit. I'm going to thank all these. Thank you, Asar. Thank you, Asar, Aset, Osiris. You know what I'm saying? Isis.
Of the open case against Maxwell. Of course, the investigation.
Thor. Thank you, Thor. Thank you.
Of Maxwell have traversed multiple administrations. There's a photo of Trump with her. We don't know the context of that, but there it is. There are emails from a federal prosecutor about Trump flying on the Epstein jet, writing Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously has been reported. That's Jan 2020. And they note Trump was listed as a passenger on 8 flights in the 90s, including 4 flights where Maxwell was also present.
Not to mention, Trump had his own plane, own helicopters. I mean, why is no one trying to know? I mean, look, how about the hotels they had events in? The hotel rooms? You know, can't they just get hotel rooms? Can't they have, you see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, at this point, we know there's much more to come, and it is coming. There's much more to come, but at least they've all corroborating these things at this point. Legacy media, you know, at least they're doing that.
They noted in a flight in '93, Trump and Epstein were the only 2 listed.
Of course, they don't want another $1 billion Trump lawsuit, so they have to be conservative and shit.
Passengers on another, there were 3 passengers. The other individual, besides the deceased trafficker Epstein and the current President Trump, was a 20-year-old named Redacted. Now, you can see why a politician might not want any of that spilling out.
I wonder if it was that 20-year-old girl that Epstein, that man at Mar-a-Lago standing out there with that big giant check. I wonder if that's the person they're talking about. Epstein say, I sold her to Trump. Like, seriously, I wonder if that's the one. I mean, people will do anything. What if somebody had a big sign like that standing out in front of their house, right, saying that they bought your daughter? How would you feel about that, you Trump supporters? How would you feel about that? Would that be funny? Would you celebrate that? Would you vote for the person that had a big, hey, yay, this man bought your daughter. Vote for him. Vote for him. Would you support that movement? Because that's what you people have done when you supported Trump, basically.
On the other hand, those pieces of evidence, those references, do not in themselves implicate Donald Trump in a crime or wrongdoing. And that's important to note, given all the interest in some of the salacious details here. The files also have a letter that is purported to have been written by Epstein, so it's in these files, to a serial
slave auctions. Exactly. I saw that, Mintz.
sex abuser, Larry Nassar. I want to tell you tonight, Trump's DOJ says that while the letter was in the files, right, the letters and emails in these files are not obviously automatically true. And we've had more disclosure than usual in this case. And one of the things we've mentioned, our guests have mentioned, is sometimes.
Notice how they have to really say that. I mean, normally, you know it. Just typical gossip isn't necessarily taken as true with most people, right? Not just typical. But when you hear loads of fucking information, horrible information about a person, just horrible after horrible after horrible, and the media has to come out every time and say, now, this doesn't mean he's guilty. I mean, that it's like they have to stress that point every time. That basically means the opposite. And when they have to stress it that much, that's not good. That's not good.
Think when something is overexposed, that means guilt by association. That's not always the case. Now, some of this was reported by 2023 by the AP, but not in the same detail. This is postmarked 3 days after Epstein's death.
And this is the same thing. Look, so Trump, he didn't draw the Jeffrey Epstein birthday thing, although everybody else did theirs in the book. But Trump didn't do his, the Mr. Enigma. You're an enigma, Jeffrey Epstein. We share something in common. Yeah, you know, that wasn't Trump. According to Trump, no. With his signature, you know, with his trademark signature, Donald Trump. You know, that he signed. Everybody who got a letter from Donald Trump got one of those, right? This guy, you know, claims none of it is him. It's always fake when it comes to him. Everything is always fake. I mean, all I can say is that if you believe this man, yeah, you're sad. You're a sad case. Like, you need help. If you believe this man at this point, you need serious help. This man and his gang have done a number on your brain, and it's called abuse. They have abused your brain so much from a distance that you actually still believe him after just time after time after. What's that song? Time after time. I'll be waiting. That's how these Trump supporters are. Yo, they'll be waiting time after time. Loyal ass motherfucker.
August 2019 there, MS Now has a
Cyndi Lauper
from the authenticity. So what I'm telling you is this is in the files. You may hear about it, but that doesn't mean that it's a true thing. Just as we've had past emails from Epstein and others making accusations about Trump. That is not itself criminal evidence of wrongdoing. It tells you about what's in some of these files. It might tell you about threats or black.
It's almost like he has to say that to tell you the next part that's even more fucked up. It's like, it doesn't mean it's true what you're about to hear. I'm just about to tell you.
Mail that aren't based on the truth.
Ari doesn't want to get harassed by Trump and shit.
And I want you to know the statement here, they've confirmed the alleged letter from Epstein to Nassar is, quote, fake, is what DOJ is saying tonight. Again, this is how transparency is supposed to work. Let the people see and add context. Some of these documents contain untrue and sensationalist claims made against.
You know, fake is not a real word. You know what I'm saying? It's not a technical term. The FBI doesn't judge something as fake. They can judge it as anything else. You know, there's a number of terms that they would use if they really believed it's not authentic. You see what I mean? Try that word. Has not been authenticated or is not authentic. Right? Or has been, you see what I mean? But they're not saying all of those real terms that you would use if you were an official, right? If you were part of the DOJ. No, they just say fake. It's fake, y'all. That's not a good indication that it's fake, actually. You know,
Trump, they go on to say, discussing that as unfounded and false. Now, Trump's DOJ can, of course, add that context. What has been requested and now mandated under law is more information, not less. More documents, not hiding documents, and then you can add context. Now, the DOJ's handling of this release is peculiar. Those files posted yesterday were available for hours, then they were removed at 8 p.m., then they were reposted around midnight, which gives you an idea of what it's like to work at Trump's DOJ in this Christmas week. The files also reveal an email from an investigator who said they had a photo of Trump with Maxwell while searching Bannon's phone. Again, that's interesting to say the least. The investigator included the photo, but that was redacted. There was an uproar over the photos removed from the DOJ's website, which were also then restored. If you see from the headlines and the point here, this has been a bungled operation and at times an illegal cover-up. That's just the facts tonight. Now, one of the photos was inside Epstein's home and it had that Trump image as part of a personal collection. You see it there. Of all the things that have come out in this Epstein story, what you see the arrow pointing at is not exactly the worst thing for Donald Trump in terms of public embarrassment, and yet they took it down and then put it back up. Survivors have been speaking out.
I am no longer supporting this administration. I am so disgusted with this administration. I think that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel both need to resign. And I would love to see number 47 get impeached over this.
We went from, very happy, very excited,
This is great. You know, this victim voted for Trump. This victim supported Trump. But at least she has the good sense to know that this is totally wrong and that cannot be right for the situation she just judged wrong when she supported Trump. And people do that all the time. Voters vote and sometimes have voter regret. That's what it's known, and but it's good to see that this individual fell for the shit at one point, but then at least there was a stopping point, and the stopping point ends at, sorry, this can't be explained well at all. There's something wrong here, but notice a lot of other MAGA supporters, they don't have that stopping point. Like they're going to go beyond the obvious. You see what I mean? They're going to support this man. I'm going to tell you, a lot of MAGA supporters, even in this troll internet world, right, which some of them are trolls, some of them are not real people or not real Americans or not really, they're basically faking, put there by some farm somewhere in the world, political pact, or by Putin wanting Americans to fucking kill each other or wanting the Western world to rip each other apart. There's that aspect to it too. Foreign trolls, right? But in any case, some of these foreign trolls and Trump supporters, even if they saw a picture with Trump, with a child, in action, even if they saw that, even if a video came out, they would say, the first thing they would say if it was a video is they would say it's AI. The first thing they would say is if it's a photograph, they would say it's AI. I mean, that's how far they're going with this guy. Like, they're going to back this guy up to the end. It doesn't matter what else they find out that is horrible. They will persist because Trump has been like a political hack. I mean, he's been a hack on NATO. So a lot of the trolls you see are people that are really anti-NATO, and Trump is a vehicle for them to be anti-NATO with. They can be pro-Putin through Trump, right? So you got to keep that in mind. But there are a percentage of real MAGA people that just can't get it out of their mind. So congratulations to that victim for waking up, because at least she was willing to wake up when it happened to her. She's the damn victim. I'm telling you, there's some of them that probably wouldn't even wake them up, you know?
We've reached somewhere.
Resign. And I would love to see number 47 get impeached over this.
We went from, very happy, very excited, where we've reached somewhere, to now being very disappointed. It's come to the point where we can't even trust our government.
Those are the voices of survivors. They can't trust their government even after they led a actual movement, I don't know what else you would call it, of survivors and their allies and others interested in truth in the story, as well as a bipartisan coalition in Congress. And that movement went from, hey, you're never going to see anything and get a vote, to forcing a vote, to forcing the president to sign that law because they already had a veto-proof majority. The voices of the survivors you hear have achieved a lot this year as we end in this odd Christmas week, this Epstein document dump week. They've achieved a lot. But you can see their work's not done. They're still pressing, because what we're witnessing in real time, as we've been reporting since Friday night, is an illegal cover-up in plain sight, a bungled cover-up, problems with posting, taking down, reposting, redactions, putting up slices of material and then adding real-time tweets about it, as if they haven't had all this time to prepare. And so what you see there is a DOJ, and more widely, a Trump administration under pressure. It doesn't look organized because it's not. It doesn't look honest because, as we've reported on the evidence, in many times and cases, it has not been honest. And the survivors and the Congress that has pushed this, they've made it clear they are not done with this administration, even if everyone takes a couple days off at the end of the year. I'm joined now by New York Times writer Molly Jong-Fast and Semaphor's Margaret Carlson. Molly, your thoughts tonight?
Yeah, I was glad that victim talked about being re-traumatized, because I think that's a real phenomenon.
Yeah, exactly. These are victims. And as you notice, MAGA supporters, they don't connect. Victims doesn't matter being shit to them. It doesn't. It's just like it won't get to them, and that's a crazy thing, because for a lot of people, it wouldn't have to be themselves. They go through this for victims, own words to touch their heart. Right? To have some empathy, to show empathy for another person. So you could kind of see MAGA supporters largely don't have that kind of room in themselves to have empathy for others. That's a common thing with MAGA supporters. I mean, whether you're talking about gender violence, gender discrimination, whether you're talking about racism, right? Whether you're talking about how you do immigration reform, there's not that space where empathy exists. It's hard. It's hard tone. It's black or white. It's good or evil. It's me against you. It's very hard. So when they hear these victims, hear stories from victims, that should just go in one ear and out the other. Like, it doesn't make them pause for a second and actually open up the other part of their brain where empathy lies. You see what I mean? It's like their lives don't matter. These victims' lives, to a lot of MAGA supporters, do not matter at all. Period. They do not matter at all. And they will walk right past what any victim says, whether it's a small child or it's a grown woman whose life has been pretty much broken to some degree. They will never be able to stop at all. You see, because they are 10 toes down, and Trump, my vote for Trump must have been right. They're like, in other words, they're in a fucked up situation because their health care is about to go up. That's 6 days from now. They got no plan to cover that. But their story is anybody would have been better than Kamala. You see, that's the mentality that they 10 toes down in. Anybody would have been better than Biden. And see, they voted for Trump, but they can't face the fact that in 6 days, their health insurance, their children's health insurance, their parents' health insurance, their spouse's health insurance, their health insurance, their teacher's health insurance, the fireman's health insurance, the trash man's health insurance. Every single individual in their town, on their block, if they're lucky enough to have any health insurance, whether they look east, west, north, south, any direction they look in, because of their vote, that will be tripling if they have the money to afford it. Doubling, tripling, or getting more expensive. That's if they have the money. And a lot of them are the last people to have any money. A lot of them, their vote got them kicked off of healthcare officially. So you see that? So there's a real issue there, because that's where the lack of empathy goes all the way back to themselves. That's how 10 toes down a lot of these supporters are with their vote. When it comes back to their own, they looking at their own kids and they still like, anything was better than Kamala. They trying to justify their vote against their own goddamn family members. Like this is what's going on in the American MAGA psyche right now. I'm telling you, especially online. 10 toes down. Okay, you be 10 toes down then.
And we're seeing happen here. And the
enjoy your sandwich. Enjoy your, I ain't got no health care. I'm getting kicked out of my house. Motherfucking everything is getting more expensive. Prices and goods and now it's my turn. Enjoy your sandwich. That's the one you ordered. Okay? Eat it.
Truth is, the federal government should be protecting these women.
Or you can wake the fuck up. I mean, I don't know, but
they've been failed by 5 different administrations.
Can you eat higher prices? Is that something you can eat? Can you enjoy that at dinner? Can you can you fucking eat higher health insurance? Is that nourishing? Is that something like, goddamn, can you eat higher housing prices? Is that something you can eat? And is that gonna, I'm just
nonpartisan. Both Republicans and Democrats have failed these women. And it feels, and again, we don't know, but it certainly looks like the DOJ is spending a lot more time protecting Donald Trump than protecting these women. And I think that even just that.
Hey, if your health insurance went up, don't feel bad to have to say it. That just means you're normal. You're a normal person facing reality, and you're able to discuss the shit properly and deal with it properly. You know that there's going to be a change at some point. It's coming, but the political change takes a little bit of time, and people are going to have to struggle through this moment and find different alternatives. But, that's just how it is. You know what I mean? But these MAGA people are bragging about the prices. They're bragging about their situation. They saying shit is better than ever for me on the internet. That's what they saying. Meanwhile, in real life, I mean, I saw those people vote for Trump now. When they were going out there voting for Trump, I saw what they looked like. You know what I'm saying? The demographics for the Trump supporter is not good. It's uneducated, largely. Struggling middle class families on average, and a lot are poor on average. So the data doesn't support you liking nothing about Trump, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Not economically, at least. Not economically, no.
Fact is so damning, because their job should be to protect these women, to find justice for them, to make sure that the men accountable are prosecuted. And that's it, period, paragraph. And I think because this DOJ seems so partisan and so much at the hand of Donald Trump, it really has created a feeling that they are not acting in the best interest of these women.
All right, so hold on. Now let me flip over to Lawrence before we go into
Donald
this
Trump's
more
Department
uglier
of Justice.
story. Let me see here. Yeah, there's a really ugly story that's coming out that just came out also. But let me just hear what Lawrence had to say here. It was something he was speaking about that was actually serious. I mean, of course, it's not going to change no MAGA minds, but let's hear it.
Getting files that are being overly redacted.
Here we go. Let me go by.
I mean, it's first of all just.
Yeah, this is the representative. Let me see.
Accountability. It must lead to real answers about who knew what and when and why our government's justice system failed so badly. Joining our coverage now is the top Democrat in the House Oversight Committee, Congressman.
Yo, Thorne, Thorn 6809. I see you. You were saying winter's inflation rate at 9%. Yeah, some MAGA supporter said that. Don't worry, Thorn. Let them eat their imaginary sandwich. Let them eat their I didn't know you could eat imaginary shit, but okay.
Robert Garcia of California. Congressman Garcia, what are you now demanding of the Inspector General?
I mean, it's first of all just outrageous that Maria Farmer made these, of course, went to the FBI, went to the authorities, made all of these pleas for help, put an actual case in front of the FBI.
Maria Farmer.
Of the abuse of Jeffrey Epstein, really for the first time, and the courage that took. And the FBI then did nothing. Now, this, of course, was now in the late 90s. It was 10 years later that the FBI began looking into Jeffrey Epstein's sex crimes and all the horrible things he did to so many additional women and girls. Had the FBI acted on Ms. Farmer's courage, on her going in and actually sharing her story, we'd be at a different place today with so much trauma inflicted that could have been, of course, we now know, prevented. And so we're demanding that the Inspector General of the DOJ investigate the FBI so that we understand what exactly happened. Every single survivor deserves justice. Ms. Farmer deserves justice, and so that's what this accountability and this report is about. And in the past, this Inspector General has refused, by the way, to address requests from survivors. And now we're saying this is a different moment. He needs to answer to Congress, and we're going to hold the Inspector General accountable.
Hold on.
By the way, to address exactly happened. Every single survivor deserves justice. Ms. Farmer deserves justice, and so that's what this accountability and this report is about. And in the past, this Inspector General has refused, by the way, to address requests from survivors. And now we're saying this is a different moment. He needs to answer to Congress, and we're going to hold the Inspector General accountable to this investigation.
What is your assessment of the progress of the release of the Epstein files so far?
I mean, what a complete both disaster. This is a complete bungling of this whole process by the DOJ. And one, it's illegal. It all should have been out already. We were very clear. The law is clear. It should all be on the date that was now been passed multiple days, and it should have been accessible and searchable by the American public. That has not happened. And now what do we get? We're getting an enormous amount of sloppiness. We're getting files that are being overly redacted. We're getting other files where survivors' names are actually mentioned. And yet, who's not being, of course, redacted? We have to look at all the files in front of us and see who is being protected. There's also, in this case, very seriously, as we know, names of co-conspirators that are possibly being protected and hidden by Pam Bondi and by the FBI and the DOJ. That is incredibly concerning. And so we're going to expose survivors, but protect co-conspirators and pedophiles. That is right now Donald Trump's Department of Justice. And I'm so glad that the American public is finally seeing that this is a massive White House cover-up.
You have a law demanding this material. That has even more strength than a subpoena. If you get control of the Congress next year, you would have subpoena power over this Justice Department, but they are already in defiance of an actual law. What does that tell you about how they would respond to subpoenas?
Well, we know this is the most corrupt administration in the history of our country, and it's certainly corruption at the DOJ. That should not stop us from using every single tool available to us to get justice and to demand it and get the truth. There is a long list of people that we on the Oversight Committee need to speak with. And at the top of that list right now is clearly Pam Bondi. What does she know? What is she covering up? What is Tom Blanche doing? Why the hell was Ghislaine Maxwell moved to a less secure prison? What does Ghislaine Maxwell know, and why aren't we demanding her to speak in front of the Congress as well?
So the entire world is watching this. Like, make no mistake about it. People, leaders of countries all over, especially the Western world, are watching this right now, to watch the display of justice, the U.S. Justice Department, the U.S. FBI, how it handles its business. Just like the world is watching how the U.S. military conducts its business, just like they're watching how the White House conducts its business, with the American people. Congress conducts its business. The issue of healthcare is one that is being communicated and talked about across the Western world. Yet it hasn't, this same administration, this same Congress, the same one that really refuses, only moves ahead when it's pressured to regarding the Epstein situation. And the Epstein situation is not just about victims of sex crimes. It's about other crimes that could also be going on. Espionage, blackmail, these kinds of things. I mean, things that Donald Trump's, one of his own cabinet members, what's the guy's name? I forget, the billionaire who's one of his cabinet members. I forget. In any case, he's in fine. Howard Lutnick said that Jeffrey Epstein was one of the most prolific blackmailers in the U.S. So he was Jeffrey Epstein's neighbor. He at least understands and believes that Jeffrey Epstein was blackmailing people with this type of information regarding who they were participating in these acts with, right? And the Congress right now doesn't seem to be interested in finding out much about that. The Senate doesn't seem to be totally interested. I mean, it's only the minority party forcing them through these what do they call these files again? Damn, I'm always screwing this part up. Discharge petitions. That's what a minority party can do. Can force a vote to see if you can have a conversation. To see if you can have a vote on the floor of Congress about these things, to force action. They have to have a minor action just to see if everybody else says, okay, we'll let you have a vote. It's not the majority party pushing anything regarding the Epstein files. It's the minority party. It's not the majority party pushing anything with healthcare. That's the minority party. Okay. It's not the majority. It's not the minority party saying, you know what, let's invade Greenland. It's not the minority party. It's the majority party saying, let's invade Greenland. It's not the minority party saying, let's bomb ships off the coast of Venezuela because that's how we're going to have our new narco war. No, but even though there's no announcement of war anyway, no, that's not the minority party. That's the majority party in the United States right now, of the Congress and the Senate doing those things. You see what I mean? That's not the minority party going out and preaching to NATO countries about values. That's that's not the minority party doing that right now. Now I'm not talking about minority in terms of who votes for these people. I'm talking about the numbers of representatives in Congress and in the Senate at this very moment. That's the majority party, right? Who, is basically half of the country. That's those representatives going to Europe, preaching to Europe about values when they don't even value their own American citizens regarding healthcare and education. That's what's going on right here. So everyone is very interested in knowing how American values are, what the American values are. Are Americans against pedophilia? Are Americans against child sex trafficking rings? Are Americans against blackmailing politicians? Are Americans against espionage? People want to know. People want to know. And this is really the hottest story around the globe. Folks want to know about American values. That's what they want to know. And they're finding out every single day what those American values are. And it extends across the board. It's really a travesty. But now, he mentioned Maria Farmer, right? And that's just one example. That's just one example of what's going on. But let's do some background on who she is, because a lot of people don't really know her story, right? So when you say Maria Farmer, maybe it doesn't really strike a bell what you're talking about. They just know, it's just another person who said they were a victim. That's all. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who she is, and they don't look into it. But let's look into it for a second and see who Maria Farmer actually is, right? She is one of the victims, right? She reported a case to the FBI in 1996. She made a complaint, right? It's confirmed. Several mainstream outlets have reported on this, right? Newly released Epstein files. And when I say several mainstream outlets, meaning it's verifiable. It's things that they verified through their independent reporting, right? And all came back to the same conclusion. Okay. In 1996, a complaint Maria Farmer made to the FBI, not even to the local police, to the FBI, alleged. And and this also speaks for the people to say, how come Biden didn't do anything? You know, the idea that let's not talk about what's being done right now or what's not being done right now, but let's go into the past and ask why they don't do anything to avoid dealing with what is happening right now in their face, right? So to answer those questions, let's do that. Let's look into the background. 1996. Who was the president in 1996? I mean, anybody know who the president was in 1996? Let me see. Who the hell was the president in 1996? I'm just curious, just to be accurate here. Let's see here, because I don't even remember. Was it Bush? Was it Reagan? I mean, was it Reagan? It was Clinton. Okay, so there you have it. So Clinton, his administration, and that's worth noting, right? Right, that's worth noting. I believe he was the president. I don't know. It depends on the exact date, but I believe. Let me see here. When was it? Having won his second term in November election. Right. So this is Clinton, right? And he won. Okay, there you have it. And he won against Bob Dole. So 1996, just to give people a background on this. 1996 complaint Maria Farmer made to FBI alleging Jeffrey Epstein possessed child pornography and warning about his behavior. Okay, so it's not just talking about child pornography. It's also talking about things he does. Things she has witnessed him doing, right? A decade before FBI's formal investigation. Okay, damn, that's 10 years before the FBI really had formally got involved. Her name was redacted. So that means the FBI got this and nothing really moved on it. Okay, so her name, and that's under Bill Clinton, right? Do we agree? Does that satisfy the MAGA people? Are you satisfied with that reporting? Do you like how I so easily offered that information up and I'm willing to discuss it? Put a 1 in the chat if you like how easily I'm able to discuss that and to fact check it and verify it and discuss it. You know, yeah. What's the big deal? I don't get that. What's the big deal about Bill Clinton? You don't want to talk about Bill Clinton? You don't like that? You know, you got an issue, MAGA people, talking about Bill Clinton. You don't like me talking about Bill Clinton? You didn't like me talking about Bill Clinton the last 2, 3, 4 days? You didn't like that? I mean, what's going on? I don't get y'all. Y'all hypocrites or something? Don't try to pin me into some blind faith supporter of any person. No, I'm much deeper than that. I'm an American citizen that was born in Washington, D.C. My family goes back on both sides to the colonial era. I've been traveling around the U.S. as a young man on my goddamn own and traveled outside of the U.S. due to my own art. No, don't try to fucking pin me into any bullshit. I'm not like a lot of you. Okay, just to keep it plain and simple. So don't try to make it into I'm a blind supporter, a blind Democrat. Yeah, I'm a member of the Democratic Party, but I'm not a blind motherfucker. I don't blindly vote for anybody. I vote for the platform, what people actually do, and I believe in punishing them when they don't do right. Okay, so now that we clear on that, not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with being a Democrat either, because their platform is strong. Goddamn, the platform is more just than the Republican platform. What the fuck? The Republicans ain't trying to get no student debt relief. They're not trying to get a union job, get people to have union jobs. They're not trying to get people a fair fucking wage. So I'm not ashamed of being a Democrat either, but just as a reference here. Now, Maria Farmer, right? No pun to people that haven't been around and doing those things either. I'm just saying that I'm just talking to the MAGA people right now that they anytime you talk about, you know, Trump, then they get it in their mind. You're a blind Democrat. You're just a Libby. You're just a Libby. Can't listen to you, Libby. Okay, you keep thinking I'm the average Joe. All right, if you want. Now, in any case, that's why you over here listening to the average Joe. Okay, I got you. Now, in any case, she talked about the pornography of him holding, possessing the pornography. She talked about his behavior, right? Her name was redacted in the document, but her lawyers confirmed it was her complaint. You see, so she didn't care. She wanted it to be known, but they're not even coordinating with the victims. The FBI has not asked the victims pretty much about how they should deal with this. And the victims have been complaining the whole time. And this administration's FBI has been ignoring it. They've been ignoring it, basically. They've been ignoring the shit. I mean, it's just sad, but that's what it is. Now, let's see here. Coverage highlights the Maria Farmer's earlier reports resurfaced as part of the public release, drawing attention to how authorities ignored earlier warnings. While not focusing solely on Farmer, mainstream reporting on Epstein's connections notes her as an early accuser who tried to alert the public and tried to alert the FBI. Okay, so broader reporting on DOJ document release and survivors. Now, Maria Farmer's experience is cited in Legacy News discussions of the Justice Department partial release of files. That's what's ongoing right now. Just background for some people. Everybody doesn't really listen to my show every day. So now, or watch Legacy Media for that matter. You know, a good portion of the listeners are out of Europe too that listen to me as well. So with survivor advocates noting that her earlier 1990s report being included validates her story. Yeah, number one, she wanted her own story to be validated. She didn't want to look crazy, be out there. She's had to struggle as a victim by herself pretty much. Nobody believed her. A lot of you maggots, You didn't care about what your denial does to victims, what your absolute denial does. You automatically support Trump. You don't care about the victim's experience, but this is part of her story. You see, she had to weather through all of that, you know, knowing that a lot of you people just won't fucking believe her anyway, although she got the goods. Even though you MAGA people claim to want to know what was going on with Epstein, you didn't listen to her, did you? No, you don't support her at all. You're fucking scum. You're hypocrites. Okay, now validates her story. Okay, the reporting validates her story. Underscores criticisms about delays and redactions on the DOJ's release. Okay, yeah, it does that. That's right. That's not any spookified ghost out there just sabotaging the DOJ. No, that's just them doing shit foul in a poor way. You see what I mean? And the victims standing up for themselves. That's what that does when victims stand up to themselves. They expose weakness in the government. Okay. And and this is where voters come into play. You know, this is where justice system, later might come into play, and there will be justice, context for wider mainstream coverage. Beyond these specific mentions, major legacy media outlets such as New York Times, The Independent, widely considered mainstream, though based outside the U.S., have reported on the specific court filings and interviews where she is discussed. Okay. So, filing a lawsuit against the federal government, she has done, alleging negligence. Okay. So if you want to support Maria Farmer, you can do so. Put a 1 in the chat if you support Maria Farmer. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't. Okay. How her 1996 complaint was handled. Okay. So if you support that, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't, put a 2 in the chat. Okay. What else? Statements from Farmer about feeling vindicated now that documents confirm her earlier report. Okay. So now legacy media has focused on mainstream news coverage. Maria Farmer generally centers on 3 themes: confirmation of her early report, claims government inaction. Yep. Her role as one of the earliest accusers. Right. So let's see here. Now, let's see what else is in here. I want to skim through here. Right. Okay. Yeah. So legacy media right now is pretty much saying that the DOJ has delayed action regarding this and has functions as a body as one that is basically being passive aggressive, doing a reluctant job at handling the public's business, you see. So now let me see something here. This story about Maria Farmer, she has photographs, so she had real information that could be corroborated to expose that there was a crime. She had she could witness that, herself, right? Her sister could witness actions and things like that. You see, there's a lot of information that could easily be corroborated. And so that's pretty much a huge scandal. Now, in terms of how they operated, because what do you need to do? What do you need to have? What stronger case could you have in terms of corroborated information? What's the stronger case? Because obviously they didn't have access to all of the other things they claim at that time. But this is one thing to criticize the DOJ in 1996. But what about the things Kash Patel and Pam Bondi have said just now about all these cases? They said there was nothing there. They literally said there is nothing there. If there was anything there, they would be prosecuting. And now all of a sudden you're finding out that the FBI was talking about 10 different goddamn, they've had conversations about 10 co-conspirators. I mean, what kind of bullshit is this? It just doesn't make any sense anymore.
Ready for the big switch on?
How can people continue to defend them at this point? How can anyone take this administration serious? How can anyone around the world take this administration serious? Like, really, how can you take the threats? How can a person who's even against the United States take Trump serious? How can you? I mean, it doesn't seem like it's possible because there's no connection between what he does and facts on the ground. All right, let's go on.
President of the United States is not the Justice Department's client, but in this Justice Department, he is, and they are treating him like that. The special sort of treatment that Alicia referenced, these issues with coming out and explaining sorts of information that typically they wouldn't have to explain. This is all happening because Donald Trump is front and center.
Somebody said that Trump is, who said this? There was a child report that came out. Yeah, Trump, we covered that yesterday. Like, this is foul. The things people are saying about Trump, the things that have been discussed by witnesses that the FBI have access to are definitely damning. Definitely foul. There is no way the FBI, and let's be clear, everyone should be upset at the first of all, how the case was handled in Florida, how the FBI got involved and handled that case, right? Acosta originally, that was under Bush, I believe, in the beginning. The investigation started. I'm not sure, but I think it was. Then it went over to Clinton, right? Then it went back. I mean, it's gone through several administrations. It's gone through Trump administration twice. Trump's been the president twice, and it's gone through his administration. No one should be happy about it. Now, the details about why, that's one thing. But when one person was the best friend of the person that was doing it, when there's one person whose name keeps coming up that victims can corroborate, and that, and that the other evidence corroborates, right? The letters, the emails, the everything else, you might want to be interested in why that is specifically. This individual's name keeps coming up, and MAGA supporters don't want to deal with it. I mean,
the entire Epstein saga. And the release is frankly asking more questions than it's answering. At some point, Donald Trump will have to come forward and explain, what did he mean when he called Jeffrey Epstein a creep? What was the event that caused him to sever the relationship? And what was that relationship beforehand? Because as more evidence is put forward, those questions will tend to proliferate. One point that we should make, though, I believe in being fair when we're looking at evidence like this. An FBI case file is full of everything that agents collect in the course of an investigation. And before prosecutors can use any of it in a courtroom, you would have to authenticate it. You would have to show the judge.
Do me a favor, click the like button, y'all that haven't clicked the like button yet. It helps more people get into the stream. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Appreciate it.
That it was trustworthy before the judge would agree to admit it at trial. So it's very likely that some of what we're seeing in this file is in the file. It's evidence in that sense, but it may or may not be authentic.
Well, perhaps to that point, Michael Feinberg, just in the past few minutes, Todd Blanche posted this on X. Let me read it to you. There has been a lot of sensationalism and even outright lies these past few days about the Epstein files. But let's separate fact from fiction. Document production is just that. We produce documents, and sometimes this can result in releasing fake or false documents because they simply are in our possession because the law requires this. Case in point, the so-called Epstein-Nassar letter is clearly fake. wrong handwriting, wrong return address, and postmarked 3 days after Epstein died. Fake videos of Epstein in his cell. Photos with no explanation, sensational tales, and lies by random people. These are not reality. We will continue to produce every document required by law. Let's not let internet rumor engines outrun the facts. Was there a better way for DOJ to be doing this, Michael?
I mean, they're still claiming, you know, so that's the interesting thing. It's like they don't seem to agree within the FBI. You know, the FBI is discussing information that they have that's been released. You can clearly see that they have information about other people. You can clearly see Trump doesn't want other men, their information, regarding proximity to Epstein to be released. He's advocating that it's not released over the net. That's what he's doing, right? So you can clearly see a reluctance of this DOJ to deal with anything Epstein. You see, they've taken Maxwell and they've put her into a cushier situation, a more comfortable situation as a prisoner, a situation that no one else would get. The average person would never get a deal like that. Not anything close to average person. You're not that special. You pay taxes. You know, they need your money. They can't operate without your money, but you won't get special treatment. Not for anything, and not for anything even less than what Maxwell has been doing. But so all roads lead to Rome. You see, I mean, this administration has done everything it could do to help the sex trafficker Maxwell. And they've done everything they could do to help other people that were in proximity to Epstein. They've gone out of their way. They've done it in every way, shape, or form. They've shown reluctance in releasing the Epstein files when the president even just signed a law that said you must release, and the only thing you need to be releasing is need to withhold is the victims' names. That's it. That's all the law states they need to withhold. And then these people just do the opposite. That's called being reluctant to follow the law. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't get what it is that they want to do, or what they think people should think. Because again, if these were people working for you, right? If they worked for your company, would you be satisfied? If they worked for your company, would you accept this behavior? Reluctant employees to just do what you told them to do, to just do what is stated in the manual, just do what is stated in your contract. Would you accept this? Or would it just be like, you know, in any case, here, let's see here. Maggots and Trump. Oh, I appreciate that, Talk. Maggots and Trump are like Jon Stewart on Hot Dog Suit. We're trying to find the guy that did this, or a kid covering up their eyes. You can't see me. I mean, they can't see, you know, they just won't see. They won't look. They won't do anything. It's like, it just is what it is. And it's up to everyone else to ignore those people, know that they're just going to keep projecting this themselves and keep going down this route, and that they're not grown up people. They're not serious, essentially. You know, MAGA people are not serious. There's nothing serious about their movement. They were very lucky because they live in a democracy that allows dissent from different political factions. That's allowed in a democratic society, dissent. However, their dissent was highly foolish, and their dissent is pretty much, you know, interlocked with foreign governments, you know what I'm saying, that hate and want to take down the United States of America and want to take down NATO. And you're pretty much seeing the evidence of that. You know, it may not be considered a fully accepted fact, but you're seeing the evidence of it in terms of Trump and how he does his business. Maxwell is getting a cushy cell. NATO is getting harassed by by their biggest member. You see what I mean? Trump is attacking NATO members. He's not giving them cushy help. He's not helping them out like he's helping Maxwell out. You see what I'm saying? Like, you got to put two and two together. That's pretty goddamn strange. You see that? I mean, you know, it speaks for itself anyway.
There's a much better one. We need to remember the Justice Department, as it is constituted under this administration, it's not functioning as a prosecutorial or investigative agency. It's functioning as this weird hybrid of a criminal defense firm and a public relations agency whose sole job is keeping the president out of negative headlines, going after his enemies, and squashing any investigations or information that may reflect poorly on him. You know, Todd Blanche, or really anyone from this administration, complaining about rumors on the internet disparaging people is probably the textbook definition of irony. There was a congressional...
Or gaslighting, gaslighting the American public. I mean, look, when the victims of Epstein say that about the Justice Department, and the Justice Department is like this: we don't hear you. We don't care what you think. And then he's out there, Todd Blanche, talking about rumors over the internet and how disparaging that is. Todd Blanche is not even listening to the victims. He's making deals with Maxwell. He's having interviews with Maxwell and making the decision that she gets a cushier cell. Like, that is being concerned with the victims. Like, that is hurting the victims. The victims are literally in public saying, yo, Todd Blanche, what the fuck are you doing? Stop helping her. She fucking raped and trafficked us, you fucking moron. And Todd Blanche is out there saying, oh, you guys talking about this is hurting the victims. Like, there's no connect between reality and Todd Blanche, what Todd Blanche says. That's what's going on right now. And yeah, you got to actually understand that. I mean, and if you were a foreign government that hated the United States of America, you would take note of this weakness. You definitely would. You would take notice of Trump's behavior with NATO. You definitely would. You would take note of that. You would take note of Trump's behavior and his administration's behavior regarding its own citizens. Yeah, you would. Regarding crime, regarding how, this thing with the Fourth Amendment. Yeah, you would. First Amendment. Yeah, their rights, their civil rights. You would take note of that if you were a country that hated the United States of America, because you would be looking for any weakness before you strike. That's what you would want to do. You see what I mean? You would take notice of how Trump is just bombing boats outside of Venezuela and giving no real clear legal, internationally accepted legal explanation, or even one legal explanation according to its own constitution. You would take note of these things before you strike. You would weigh these things out before you make a decision about what you would do next.
Bill passed. It was signed into law. They are not in compliance with it. That is all this is about. There is no justification for them not releasing the files in their entirety at this moment.
Somebody said, look at this. Trump list. He says, most people talking about America don't live in America. Well, the people, I mean, why are you here talking to me? I don't live in America. I'm just an American citizen. Born and raised in Washington, D.C. Family on both sides come from the colonial period of the United States. Moved out of the U.S. as a grown-ass man at 30 years old. Yeah, you don't have to be here listening to me. Why would you listen? Are you one of those most people? Most people talking about America don't live in America. Why are you listening to me then? Like, that's a really strange for you to be here saying that, because you're actually listening to my ass, you dumb fuck. Like, trolls be trolling. Trolls be trolling.
I understand.
If I had no consequence, if this American citizen living outside of the U.S. had no consequence to you, you wouldn't be here, you dumbass.
Joyce, Todd Blanche trying to do a little cleanup on aisle 9.
Click the like button for me, y'all. I appreciate that.
Again, it really speaks to the fact that they've let this narrative get away from them. Those who like to deal in politics when it comes to the rule of law and comes to facts-based information that is used in a prosecutorial setting. This is what happens. This is what it looks like when you screw around and try to make it about politics, because you've got the puppet master sitting there at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, spending most of his time on Twitter and on TV, tracking this and getting madder and madder and madder because he doesn't have control of the narrative. So let's talk about a narrative that I think they need to explain a little bit more. So you've got
these
MS
troll-
Now flight report.
These troll statements, they're pre-contrived statements that are meant to just go out to any general podcast, by the way. That's why they're so interesting, to dissect, in that way. It's like they're gaslighting statements, like literally. They're meant to target certain groups of people, but in any
on the
case.
flight logs that came out today. On one flight in 1993, he and Epstein are the only two listed passengers. That's the president and Epstein. On another, the only three passengers are Epstein, Trump, and then 20-year-old redacted individual, the prosecutor wrote. On two flights, two of the passengers
So MAGA people right there, if you're listening, Trump and Epstein, only two adults. Only two people on the plane with one other individual. So Epstein and Trump, 2 of 3 people on this plane trip. Epstein, Trump, and then a 20-year-old female. What say you? Let's hear your reasoning. What's the reasoning? Now, Epstein's been alleged. He's not even been alleged. His co-conspirator was convicted of child sex trafficking. He has a picture. Trump himself has a picture of somebody holding a check up saying, something to the effect that he bought a girl, and it's alleging that it's a 20-year-old. What do you think happened here? What do you think was going on? MAGA people, only MAGA people. What's going on here, MAGA folk? Just want to hear what your excuses are. Just please put MAGA after your comment, or I put it to you this way. It's hard. I don't want to cut anybody off, but I'm really interested in knowing, what the MAGA people really think about this one particular case. Is that okay? Look at this. Look, 20 was legit and unchecked with a sex trafficker. Okay, I got you. You see what I mean? This is crazy. That's like saying, it's okay. It's legal to be sex trafficked. You 20. It was your business. If you didn't know how to say no, you couldn't, no, that's it. In other words, in a lot of MAGA people's heads, sex trafficking is not a crime. It's a made up crime to a lot of them. It doesn't exist, right? Like, you can't be sex trafficked at 20 years old. They're not even concerned about when he met the person. Did he meet the person at 17? Is that legit? Did he meet the what about the person that said they was being sex trafficked at 13, 14? What about those people? Is that legit also? So they will say anything is legit. That's it. They connect no facts, other facts, no corroborating facts to it at all. It's just always legit. Always legit.
Were women who would be possible witnesses in Ghislaine.
Exactly. Dumb replies incoming. Exactly.
Maxwell's case. Now, it's important to note the email does not include details about the 20-year-old whose identity was redacted, including their gender, their particular gender, and noting also that the email was dated January 20th. January 7th, 2020. But the reality of it is, no matter how you parse all of the politics and how you try to set your narrative, paper is paper, right? What's on the paper, what's reported, and what is produced speaks to a relationship that the president still to this day refuses to acknowledge was as deep as it is, or as it was, and the role that he may or may not have played in any of this. So just release the files, right? Doesn't that help clear all this up? The law said just release the files.
You would.
Exactly. The law says just release the files. I mean, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that this DOJ, this FBI is pretty reluctant to do what the law requires. And MAGA people accept that. That's what they accept, but they're very critical of other people that don't do what the law requires, right? I don't know why that would be. I mean, how could you have it both ways? But in any case, if you're okay with that, if you're okay with this, you're okay with your healthcare spiking too. So that, to me, that's like the fine line here. Now, there's a more serious thing that came up here. There's plenty of serious things that came up. There was the story. It's not really a story, but it's the reality, the realization that the FBI had been discussing already other instances where Trump's name came up, where Trump has been accused directly in writing. There has been interviews that the FBI was aware of with law enforcement and victims that clearly paint Trump as raping them. Clearly, those actual words came out of their actual mouths, right? It's been, discussed. It's been reported. And again, I just want to say this. If you are a person that witnessed a crime like this, if a person a minor comes to you as an adult and tells you that someone has been sex trafficking them, someone has been raping them, and you are an adult, you are obligated to inform the police. You're obligated to inform the police, whether you think it really happened or not. You're obligated, or you could actually be someone helping a sex trafficker. You see what I'm saying? You can't just skip past that part. It is wrong to have a minor come to you and tell you that they have been raped, and it's morally, if it's not criminally, then it's morally and ethically wrong for you to not inform the police. It is wrong. So if anyone came to anyone, like you found out about the limousine driver yesterday, was told by the girls that Trump had raped him, it would be wrong for him not to report it. You see what I'm saying? It would be wrong. And it could be a crime. You see what I'm saying? So now let me ask you this. How many of you have ever been approached by a minor that told you someone has raped them? Put a 1 in the chat if you have ever had a minor come and tell you that. Put a 2 in the chat if that's never happened. And you're lucky if that's the case. But I'm just curious, because this is what we're judging here. This is what we actually are judging. How people behave when shit like this happens in reality. And I want to know what people think. See, a lot of people can judge folks that report this shit and judge people that judge the victims that say it, but they don't really do it from life experience, do they, all the time? So I'm curious about that. I'm curious. Hold on, let me see here. 1. It's happened. A lot of people, this has happened to. You know what I'm saying? This is some real shit here. You see what I'm saying? This is real. I've never had someone, a minor, come and tell me anything like that before, but I've seen something happening as a child, myself, not at close distance. I saw, when I was a child, right, looking out of my window very early in the morning, like 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, I heard a woman screaming, right? Help me, right? This is long, I'm 55 years old. So when I was approximately like 8 years old when this happened, something like that. And I was looking out of my window. I heard the screaming, and I looked out of my window. I was on the top floor of my parents' home, and I looked out of the window, and across the street came running a woman that was naked. I could see, my vision was better back then, by the way. I wear glasses now. And I could see with a big magic marker, she was naked. She had written all over her. Somebody wrote all over her body. Right. And I'm just saying that's the closest thing I've witnessed to some sort of sex related crime. You know what I'm saying? But I know enough to know that if any child ever came to me and told me anything like that, I would be reporting it to the police. And by the way, any decent person would. But in a lot of cases, in a lot of places in the world, it's a crime to not report it. Just so you know. It's a crime not to report it, and I'm just curious. Now, I'm going to ask the chat one more thing. If, when this person came to you and told you that they had been raped, did you report it? Put a 1 in the chat if you reported it, and put a 2 in the chat if you didn't. I'm just saying. Did you report it? somebody said, someone said, yeah, you didn't report it as, I was 7 years old. And no, actually, I told people about it, to be honest. You didn't even ask me, you dumbass. Now, but, I'm sure a lot of people heard it also, but I did say something about it. And I'm saying it again, it's not the first time I spoke about it, but as a kid, I did say something about it. It was actually traumatizing to see that, but I don't know what happened, but I do know that, a naked woman with someone who wrote all over her body running in the street saying help is likely a sex related crime. Yeah, I knew that even as as a young person, but, yeah, okay. Well, I hope people reported it that heard it. I hope so. Come on now. We just talking about caring for each other and having some empathy for people. And we know this shit really happens in real life. Should this be a big deal? Like this is what I hope, these are the people I hope prevail in this matter when it comes to morals and ethics in the United States of America, values, you know what I mean? The fact that we are decent enough people to care about somebody else. And, and you could extrapolate a lot. You could expand this conversation to many things. If someone was robbing an old woman on the street, would you stop them or would you just walk by? These kind of questions speak to our values. Or would you say, she's not my race, so I ain't going to do anything about it. Or, this lady's a Christian lady, or this lady's a Muslim lady, I ain't going to do anything about it. Or, this old man, I don't like his accent, so I ain't going to do nothing about it. I mean, it's about values. You see what I mean? I mean, how we do things ourselves speak loudest to who we are as a people, what we actually do ourselves. So, I believe how we look at this case with these women, they're women now, but with these victims, young victims, we are being judged as a nation. We are being judged in real time. Every time somebody comes out of the internet and says, I'm an American and I don't give a fuck about these victims, I'm voting for Trump again. We are being judged as a people. We're being judged by this very moment. We're being judged not by how we treat young people. We're being judged by our healthcare system. We're being judged by our educational system. We're being judged by loads of things that people are watching every single day, and, we need to keep that in mind. And we need to stand up for our values. And speak about our values, because people are going to start getting it wrong. You see what I mean? People, when they see this, and I just want people to know that it doesn't matter what country I'm walking around in. If I see some old person or a woman or anything like that being assaulted, motherfucker, I'm intervening. Yeah. I'm not going to turn my back. And it doesn't matter what color the woman is, what religion the woman is. No. If I see someone who needs help on the street, I'm stopping to help them. If I see someone sick, it doesn't matter to me what their background is, where they come from. I've done this before. I saw an old man that looked like he couldn't walk. He wasn't even from Denmark. I don't know where he was from. I think maybe Eastern European. And I was just on my way, minding my business, having my day. And I saw a man, he couldn't walk. It was freezing outside. He couldn't walk. The man had pissed in his pants. And he was standing there. And I just stopped because I was like, what's going on? Let me see if this guy needs help. And indeed, he did need help. And he didn't know much about how to get it. So I called the ambulance, and I was smart enough to know, but by law, they have to actually come and help this man by law here. So I'm grateful for that. And I stood with the man until the ambulance came, because I know he couldn't speak Danish. Stood with the man, talked to the ambulance people when they arrived, and yeah, they took him away. You know what I'm saying? They took him out in the ambulance, and I'm sure, they helped him, whatever his issue was, and then maybe assisted him getting to a homeless shelter or something like that. You know what I mean? But it was freezing cold outside. Old man pissing in their pants on the street, not maybe even from Denmark, even a person, anybody deserves help. So the thing is that you could see how there's trolls. Now, you see, when we start talking about values, you can see trolls in the chat exploring, it showing that they have no values. I want everybody to know that's on purpose. that is on purpose because they don't want Americans caring. That's the whole point. They want Americans turning a blind eye to justice, to caring. That's what they literally want. You see what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind. That was just a little test, actually. Now, here we go. Yeah, this is not the only story going on in the U.S., but it's one that we're going to be judged by. And, it's something that we're not going to be able to escape so easily, although, to some it might seem like a game. But, there's going to be a reckoning point where we're going to have to show the world, but ourselves first, what it is we stand for as a nation. And, that point is coming soon. I'm happy to be outside of the U.S. while I'm watching this. You see what I'm saying? Because, of course, my health care is not about to be cut. That's not something I'm thinking about in my mind because I have universal health care here in Denmark. My kids' education is not about to be cut. They don't owe any debt on education. My oldest child is just about finished with university, right? My younger children, my youngest son, second to youngest, is about to start going to technical school, right? That's not an issue. Financing it is not an issue, right? And my younger kids, when they're ready, God willing and blessing them, and of course living in a great nation like Denmark, they are able to afford their own education. You see what I mean? And I see somebody's talking about, if you want to know how much taxes we pay, why don't you sign up, become a member, and you can look at one of my member streams where we break all that down into detail, because that is a detailed conversation, and it's probably one that you're owed a real decent conversation about that will take a few hours. You might want to invest that time, right? But I could tell you, I only pay a few more percentage in taxes than people in any major city in the United States pay. And I'm from Washington, D.C. So, I've already done the math on it. So I already know the U.S. healthcare system. You guys pay whether you're on getting healthcare or whether you're not. You're paying into the healthcare system through your taxes, right? Even before you get to the code deductibles. And I already know that when you compare how much the services cost in the U.S. compared to the rest of the Western world, your services cost like 5-10 times more for some strange reason. And it's mostly administration fees. So just in case you want to know. But you could break it down. Yeah, I paid 39% here, Dennis Nielsen. Exactly. People don't, but again, if they really want to look into it, the information is out there. And like I said, if you want to become a member, there's some member videos that I made about that give true value to some of the things Americans need to look at. And I already stated it plainly. You base a third of what you pay is in the United States is through administration fees. A third. So if you're happy with that, that's going to corporations, by the way. That's somebody just sitting at a desk saying, okay, yeah, let me look at the paper, see what the paper said. Okay, the paper say this. That's not your doctor. That's not anyone diagnosing you of nothing. You see what I mean? That's not including any medicine. A third of what you're already paying just through the tax system goes to people to paper push on your health care. Like, what the fuck? In Denmark, in the Western world, that's not what's going on. That's not what's going on. The U.S. got look, just in the tax system, four different types of administration, 4 different people administrating fucking healthcare that the taxpayers pay. And these people don't even get the fucking healthcare because they can't pay the goddamn deductibles and the copays. We talking about people paying into a system that don't even fucking have health care. Dennis. Yeah. It's crazy, man. Yeah, it's true. 55, Dennis. 55% is if you making a whole lot of goddamn money. You got to be really high earner. Denmark is actually pretty liberal in terms of taxes. You know what I mean? And again, the real problem is the real saver of lives in Europe is that they don't have all these administrative fees. The U.S., because it's largely privatized, it's not all privatized. obviously, because you pay in through your taxes, right? In Denmark, it's not all social. Some of it's privatized, but the real killer is how it's organized, you know? I mean, why do you need 4 people administrating, 4 companies administrating? Like, what the hell is up with that? It's a third of the taxes you pay for healthcare. Just the taxes alone go to administration fees. You probably would have a nicer time if you reevaluated that. That's all. And whether you're a Republican or Democrat should not matter. In fact, if you're a Republican, you should really like that, what I just said. But keep in mind, Republicans are the reason why you see what they call Obamacare in the first place, because it was Democrats saying, okay, if we don't give the Republicans this on the private side, nobody will get nothing. So what people call Obamacare is a Democrat and Republican invention. It's not a Democrat invention, you know, so just keep that in mind. You know, now, if you wanted to have an honest conversation about healthcare and education, you could do it through Legacy Media. You could have that. Legacy Media is obviously corporate media. They don't seem to want to tell you how taxes are, collected in Europe versus or in all other Western nations, because it's not just Europe. It's also Canada. You know, they don't seem to want to have that conversation. But, hey, a lot of MAGA people are comfortable with Legacy Media not talking about that. They don't care if Fox doesn't say a damn thing about taxes, give them any real in-depth understanding of taxes. They don't care about that. They just happy with one little snippet, one little 10-second soundbite, and they don't even care. And why should Fox News care about you if you don't care? I mean, you know, and it's the same for any other news channel. I mean, if Americans don't want this, you won't get it. If you don't want universal health care for less money than you pay now, you won't get it. Very simple. And I'm going to tell most Americans don't want it because they don't vote for it. And that's just the way of the world. You live in a democracy. You need to know what you're voting for, and you need to vote for some shit, and you need to play a part in the role. If you're not happy with the representatives, then there's no law that says a person who never went to school at all can't run for fucking office. You need zero education to be a congressional member, president, or senator. Zero. You do need know-how and knowledge, however. You might want to have that, but you do not need no paper that said I graduated from high school. No. Dropouts can run. Bums can run. Crackheads can run. Whores and prostitutes can run too. I mean, I'm sorry to be so graphic with it. People with no teeth in their mouth can run tomorrow. People that never had health care. If you live in a trailer and your mama lived in a trailer and your daddy lived in a trailer, you can also run for office. You could be on welfare. You could be piss po and run for office. Okay. You know, what the fuck? That's the beauty of democracy. Let's give a hand to it when people use it. When people use it right. You know what I'm saying? When people know what it is. Convicted felons, escorts too. Exactly. What the fuck? Even Donald Trump knew you didn't need to know shit. What the fuck? He knew you could be a sex trafficker and run for office. Donald Trump was like, hey, fuck this. I'm going to do this. He knew you could be a felon and run. There you have it. So, and you could be a murderer and fucking run. As far as I'm concerned at this point, I'm sure the Supreme Court would be like, yeah, let that murderer run. Don't infringe on his rights. You know what I'm saying? So let's push this democracy thing because it's not really so bad, but let's also push playing a part in it. Let's also push voting. Let's also push running for offices if you want something. You know what I'm saying? Let's be active. Let's not be so bad on ourselves because it could be worse. By the way, you miss a good. If you don't understand when you got it good, you could lose it. You could lose it because there's a lot of other places that don't have the rights that Americans had and are watching this administration just take away from them. First Amendment, you complain about that. I mean, you know, it's just so sad. But in any case, I'm out of this. I'm out of this place. I wish everybody happy holidays. And I really do believe in justice. Let's pray on this. If you're a Christian, if you're a Christian, let's pray that Trump kicks the bucket tomorrow, or, you know, or drops dead, or, you know, like, even though that's not really Christian, like, I know, I'm sorry to say that, but let's just, you know, all hold hands together, even if you're not Christian, and just pray to the universe that the universe gets rid of this guy somehow, gets him out of our lives, like, get him the fuck out of here, so we can at least get back to a normal way of communicating and make things better than they were. Not make things the same that they were before, but better. Now that we've had a reminder of what we can lose when we don't participate, particularly American citizens, because a third of y'all didn't even fucking vote. I mean, Trump brags about how many voted for him. Well, the same amount didn't vote for nobody. The same amount. That's a whole group of people that didn't vote about their First Amendment right, Second Amendment right, third, fourth, fifth, 14th, all kinds of shit. Didn't vote about their health care, didn't vote about nothing, didn't vote about their taxes, didn't vote about their education, just said, I'm going to leave it up to everybody else. You know, I bet you won't do that again. You know? And for the ones that voted for Trump, shit, you think that's something to brag about? Goddamn, go ahead. Keep sticking your chest out there. Go brag. And because it's better you keep talking than when shit changes, you pretend like you didn't vote for Trump. Nah. All you people that voted for Trump, you just stay exactly like that. You know what I'm saying? If you that proud, you just stay. Because there's going to be way more people voting this election because they woke up. They were like, God damn, what the fuck? All I did was not vote for 1 year because I was tired. And I was like, both political parties the same, man. Nah, okay. Yeah, both political parties the same. Is that what you think? Now, yeah, okay. TikTok is about 5 days. We're going to see. We're going to see in 5 days if you really think both parties are the same, because a lot of you are going to be listening to family members lose their health care, like straight up. Like that's what you're going to be hearing in 5 days. And I'm going to be here reporting on it just because that's how it is. You see what I mean? Just like when a lot of you heard these victims come out there and tell their story, you were like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck about their feelings. All right, now. So on that note, click the like button, y'all. What comes around goes around. And yeah, I appreciate you. Have a happy holidays. You know, a lot of you are going to be with your family members. That's a wonderful thing. And those of you that are not, you know, go out to a soup kitchen. Help some of these soup kitchens out because that shit is on the rise right now, and that's a positive thing. So big up to everybody that's spending some time donating, you know, volunteering towards others, you know what I mean, that recognize community and recognize the place that volunteering to help others has in society, in civilization, the role that it's always had, you know, and big up yourself for that, you know, because you are doing you're being active. You're finding a way to be active and use your time positively over this holiday. So I appreciate you. Yo, I'm out, y'all. Be good, okay? I'm going to see y'all later on in the next something like 12 hours or so, all right? Be good. Happy holidays. I voted for Kamala. I voted for Kamala Harris. Yes, I did. Amen to her, too. Yo, peace, y'all.
They want war, crime babies looking for food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every clue. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Even 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct. And I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. Or Congress gon' gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like the lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't stare, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't stare. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. I know how to see a whack MC when he bustin', but I just back away real cool, no fussin'. I'd rather go kicking in the streets with the bums and use the knowledge to collect what? Some funds. Open a non-profit and build a damn school. And this is the story of how a great king rules. There's many that claim to know the local demographic, but don't have the nerve to tell you the truth. It's tragic, but I do, so sit back and let me spit this shit to you. You feel better when I spit this shit to you, despite the system trying to clamp down on the people. People will learn how to stand up to evil. Not evil that's across the globe, that's too far, but evil that lies in their own backyard. And fighting, it's not an option, they can't win. The government, it's not supposed to represent sin, but then again they do, and that's a problem. So let's go down and figure out how to solve them. It's not fun being a rapper that can't speak, but we do, yes, and plus we make fat beats. Yo, we smoke weed, break up trees. Listen, bringing fat beats, that is our mission. You wanted to see us, homeboy, shut up and listen. Thelonious and Big Bennett, brother, check the vision. Mentalities of different realities. Enter the Star Trek room when you hear the boom. I be the Walkman with the super bass. Automatic stop, yes, stereo cassette player. With the delayer, freaky lyrical sprayer. Extraterrestrial rhyme sayer. I be the poetical VIC / master of the ceremony. Testimony, won't you come come step with me, I'm on a historical journey. Kinda like Sigourney, implore me to represent the attorney that represents my niggas, go figure. It's the card, they call me Uncle Bigger. Niggas love your blunts, down your liquors. I read the parallel to the fiction. You're fixated on this brother's nature. Relaxed behavior, I might save your change. Flip it, rearrange. The whole concept, yo, is good for all your brain. Insane, psychotic, neurotic, black onyx, and hooked on phonics, just atomic. Bees like a bonnet. Cut with the Asiatic, they all up on it. Rhyme static with the sporadic type of skill. You wonder, is this nigga Vic really for real? It's still, but only necessary in the berry. I'm milk like dairy, they quite contrary. That's scary, but I'm a dog in the prairie. I scurry to grab my bones and just bury. Lyrical flurry, go get your secretary with impeccable diction. My style might vary, so get a hold of your own shit real fast. Fucking with us, we take it right out your ass. Prairie dogs chill while the other dogs howl. Too many dogs get sent to the pound. Back on the hill, me and my peeps just lounge. Prairie dogs, we keep it on the down. Splatter, don't like gun splatter. We try to climb the ladder, wicked men get better. They make it like splatter, but it really don't matter. Cause you know we coming back to our sons and our daughters. To follow him, the one who protects ya. And the mother, she will never neglect ya. Through divine nature, the people respect ya. And in this way, I deliver my lecture. Can you feel it? Nothing can save ya, cause this is the season of funky behavior. I came to relax your mind, you can recline. On what? On this here rhyme. I like the style, I'm staying for a while. It helps me show cats that I'm versatile. I'll touch your dial, turn your frown to a smile. I'll make you feel like you're having a child. So relax and open up, child. I'm about to make you walk what? Pimp style or pimped out style. You don't understand the logic. See, if you don't have it all, I'll take a deposit. I got shit for you, it's alright indeed. It's like going to the garden and planting the seed. You might tickle for a second, but it won't bleed. So just relax, just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Your entertainment at the same time, entertainment. In other words, you could call it bent. What I'm saying is that I'm here at your service. It's hard work, but then again, I deserve this. I'm helping people enjoy their spare time. I'm like an instructor when I'm doing my rhyme. Relax and just hear the dope track. It's really not all that, it's not like a gag. We like that when everything is relaxed and chill. You don't have to get fucked up or take pills. Cause I like being myself, it feels good. Yo, it makes my meals taste good. 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 So just relax.